Good evening, everyone. This is Team 3, and my name is Adreheim Ortega, and my team members are George Rios, Michael Detrude, and Josef and Johannesson, and we are here to present our project Wild Frontier Warehouse. So, what is Wild Frontier Warehouse? Wild Frontier Warehouse is an online store where people can shop from anywhere they choose. The Wild Frontier Warehouse main goal is to provide the finest equipment for our customers who have passion for hiking, camping, fishing, hunting, and survival. Also, the e-commerce platform Shopify for the Wild Frontier Warehouse is to operate with a more streamlined services and can produce a quicker transaction. What is our project deliverables? Our project, the Wild Frontier Warehouse, involves a Shopify e-commerce website which uses the Amazon Web Service cloud infrastructure that supports the back end of it. This would assist our project because it is very secure with high availability and scalability. It also does not require any maintenance. Establish a new business plan that possesses agility and instant elasticity. The agility and instant elasticity will aid Wild Frontier Warehouse to be able to quickly iterate, innovate, and experiment. It will also aid our project by instantly scaling up when the workload increases and will also scale down based on the demand. The business plan changes the model from solely back and mortar to hybrid with the addition of e-commerce capabilities. The hybrid change it by assisting the ability to reach a wider audience, increasing the visibility, will increase the sales of our company and for the company to grow without having limitations. The ability to store files and share files collected on the site. Here all of the data will be stored using an AWS cloud environment and by using the Microsoft SQL instances for a smoother transfer of the data without the difficulty of data loss or incorrect data transfer. The Identity and Access Management (IAM). The IAM would provide our company online security and productivity. The IAM provides some functionality in managing users' identities, authenticating users, and authorizing the users. Security features for both customers and data integrity. Our customers would be able to shop and check out securely by using the safety of the PCI DSS, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. It will protect the cardholder's data from unauthorized access and loss. Also, both web page and the database will have proper security measures in place for our customers' safety and data integrity by using security techniques, application, and tools for this project. It will guarantee our customers' safety. Security technique, tools, and application that we use in this project are the Subnet group, firewall, Iam Rules, security groups, RSA tokens, VPC CloudWatch, PCI DSS compliant, and the VPN gateway. The redundancy, this would help mitigate the chance of failure and the total outage if the other zone failed. So the individuals that made this project possible, of course, our project manager, George Rios, our project architect, Michael Detrude, our front-end engineer, Josef Johannesson, and back-end engineer, myself, Adreheim Ortega. Also, our sponsor, Dr. Juarez, and our professor, Dr. Sina, who also guided my team to make this project possible. Why did we choose Amazon Web Services? We chose this because our team is familiar with AWS platform and also the AWS cloud environment that's split into two different zones for availability. Microsoft SQL instance smoother transfer of data without the difficult of data loss or incorrect data transfer. And the database administrator will have access to the entire server, both front end and back end, using free VPN gateway. So the project budget. So Shopify, it costs us $29 a month, and for the AWS, it costs us $379 per month, and our total monthly cost is $408, and the annual cost for this project is 4,896. Okay, and now I'm gonna transfer it to George Rios, our project manager.
Good evening, my name is George Rios. I am the project manager for Wild Frontier Warehouse. I will be going over the project planning portion for this brief. Our approach to this project was to divide our milestones into three major sections: the planning, infrastructure, as well as implementation. Within these sections, we've also broken down into 4 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. In the planning section, it was important within the first phase that we went ahead and conducted some planning workshops. These workshops entailed gathering requirement documents, coming up with cloud provider analysis, doing cloud strategy planning, deployment planning, as well as basically laying out the foundation for how we wanted to approach this project, how we wanted to um, satisfy the customer's needs, and started to get an idea of where we're going to take this project into. Once we gathered this idea, we all collectively agreed. We then moved on to our second section, which is our infrastructure and our development section. Um, this is when we started to actually develop our requirements documents, as well as making changes, any sort of detailed migration instructions that came up, our operations framework, started developing our cloud modeling, and as well as developing, we've also started doing our performance and scalability testing. It's important that we conduct these testing during the session. That way we can go ahead and see our bugs, see the problems, see any sort of errors that come up earlier rather than later, that we can go ahead and address them. And everything's working as intended, as well as it needs to be. So our customers happy, as well as we are happy with our product. Finally, once this section was complete, we went into our implementation section. This section here is where we implemented, as well as started giving various role access to other fictitious employees, ensuring that everything was meeting and working finally. Here, we also made sure we were in compliance review. We've also made sure our security configuration was optimized and updated. We make sure we were within our security means. With defining, security means is that we were make sure we had all of our ethical considerations. We also wanted to make sure all of our security processes were being met. We wanted to make sure that both employees and customers were safe and feel that they were safe. All their PPI and their data wasn't going to be obstructed or breached by any sort of way. Once we've went ahead and did all that, we finally in phase 4 we did our cloud platform launch. And then next slide is going to be showing you a Gantt chart on how to further elaborate on these sections. You see here, I talked about our planning, execution, launch phase, and then here it just showed you a little more breakdown on when we started the phase as well as its completion date. You see some of them overlapped. That's because we had, if any sort of questions come up, we can revert back to the previous section and just make sure that we were meeting the actual written scope of the the documents, and we weren't just coming up with something on the fly. And we were also just making sure our customer was happy with our product. Finally, I will be going over our ethical considerations that I briefly touched up on. And some of the considerations to keep in mind while we were doing this project were the data security, as I mentioned prior, confidentiality, PPI, credit card information, and these can all be applicable to employees as well as our customers. It's important that our customers feel safe, or that they feel that they can trust our application, our services, that they don't have to worry about any sort of ethical hacks or ethical concerns for their information, as well as our employees, as well as the employees for Wild Frontier Warehouse. It's important for them to also understand that with these account privileges, a lot of the security is also on role-based access. So it's not like any employee can go ahead and see all the information. These are set specifically by account with certain access to certain certain features within the application. So that's how some of the ethical considerations that we took into account for this project. And that was my portion for this section. I will turn it over to the next team member. Thank you.
Hello, esteemed guests and professors, along with anybody else that wishes to view this video. My name is Josef Johannesson, and I am the front-end engineer for the Wild Frontier Warehouse e-commerce and cloud analytic project. It was my duty to come up with a simple, consistent, and intuitive website. The site needed to work on multiple browsers, that being Edge, Safari, Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, across multiple platforms such as phones, tablets, and computers. This will allow Wild Frontier to go from a local store to a possible international sensation. Before I go into the site, let me discuss why we chose Shopify over our other competitors. You see, Shopify allows us to apply functions like unlimited products, abandoned cart recovery, the acceptance of over 100 types of currencies for different online stores, free SSL certificates, a fast, reliable checkout, gift cards, and discount codes. And while other competitors offered similar products, there wasn't one with a comprehensive such a comprehensive package at such an affordable price point. There's also a seamless connection with AWS through different methods. One thing I want to clear up for anyone unfamiliar with the difference between AWS and Amazon is 10 years ago, Amazon Web Service, AWS, was still the cloud infrastructure service arm of Amazon.com. So AWS is the rival to Azure. So when I refer to AWS for the rest of this presentation, or if anybody else does, I don't want you to think of the product being on Amazon.com. While it is possible to set up a store account on Amazon called Fulfilled by Amazon Business, you lose a cut and money and control matters. So AWS is where we store data. That's it. Data taken from the customers on what they buy, what they're interested, so that we can effectively market the correct products, aiding and enhancing sales, and store the customer's data. AWS is not where the customer will purchase the fine outdoor products provided by Wild Frontier Warehouse. Wild Frontier Warehouse is also not a platform for others to sell merchandise on. We only sell outdoor sporting goods supplied and contracted with Wild Frontier Warehouse. Now that I cleared that up, I want to talk to you about why AWS and our Shopify e-commerce site works so well for the growth of this company. It comes down to price and flexibility for our customers. Currently, Wild Frontier Warehouse, or WFW, is a Southern California company with aspirations of growing to international success. Well, what happens if WFW, Wild Frontier Warehouse, grows slowly here in the United States but takes off somewhere like Europe? With people, let's say, from Frankfurt, Ireland, London, Milan, Paris, Stockholm, trying to access the site based here, that would cause a lot of lag, a lot of downtime, a lot of headache, and you can't really prepare for where your site takes off. If the site doesn't perform, we lose business. And in this industry where you have to strike where the iron's hot, this is unacceptable. We need the ability to expand where the need is. And AWS allows us to do that. AWS has multiple data centers in multiple places that I just stated earlier. Frankfurt, Ireland, London, Milan, Paris, Stockholm. Pairing that with Shopify's acceptance of different currencies, we set up a foundation for Wild Frontier Warehouse to grow where the need is. Moving on to the site, I want to encourage you to go to the WFW site, which is here on the PowerPoint, and the link is provided, if you really do want to experience the full experience for yourself. But I encourage you to do it. You will see that the design is simplistic. It isn't overwhelming, but it's easy to understand, which I guess is just me kind of hitting 3 points of the same point. The view I'm in currently is what the customer sees. So when you first log in, when you first go into the site, this is what you're going to see. This isn't anybody else's view but the customer. We created the site to be familiar to any customer that has shopped on any other online store. In the top left corner here, we have the Wild Frontier Warehouse logo, and no matter where you are on the online store, clicking this will allow you to come back to this home page. So let's say we click on catalog, move over to the catalog, click here, home page. We want to come down to this product, click here, home page. So in the middle, let me just keep on going with where we're going. Here next to home is catalog. And by the way, home does the same thing no matter where you are, but the Wild Frontier Warehouse is just an easier way to do it. When you click on catalog, you're going to see all the products with the images, descriptions, variations of the products with multiple images of that product. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on, let's go ahead and click on the t-shirt. Okay, so we have different sizes, different colors. So let's say we wanted to have a large frost shirt. It will already automatically set to that, to the proper image. We can also go back to the catalog and we can click on other things like these socks, and they'll give full descriptions, different types of pictures, along with different sizes. So going back to our home button, I want to also bring up, let me go back, I kind of jumped the gun on myself. The products here, going back and mentioning that there is an option with Shopify for unlimited products. So as this company grows and expands its inventory, we can do so without any restrictions. So in the top corner here, top right corner, we have the search icon. And the search icon can be used to find different items within the site. So let's go ahead and say we're about to go hiking. We need a first aid kit. So we can do that for anything. Here's the description again. Click on here. We see all the different products that are inside this first aid kit. And if we want to move on and find something else, we go ahead and click home. So next to search, we have the little tiny person, or the tiny icon rather, which I've already taken the liberty. Actually, I will take the liberty right now to log in, and I will go ahead and sign in, and you will see me on the other side. While it took me a second to get that situated, you guys are right back here, and it only took a second. So this is what we see when we click that little icon right there. Here we have Johnny Doe. He lives on 123 Fake Street in apartment 321 in San Diego, California. And here is his basic setup account. Now, he hasn't purchased anything. If he'd have purchased anything, you would see his order history, and we could kind of market to him that way. But this is the layout for what the user sees when they're logged in. So they can go right back to home, and it still looks the same way. Finally, here at the end, we have the shopping cart. Now, anybody familiar with a shopping cart, you add products to it. Here you go. When you're ready to go and check out, you sign out with this. And if you're already signed in, that information will already be pre-inputted so that you do not have to type that information again. So if you're a frequent flyer with Wild Frontier Warehouse, we make it easier for you to check out. So going back to the home page, using our little icon up at the top, we can see that we have our Wild Frontier slogan. We have a promotional video for those that are looking to get an outdoor experience, the feel of the company. We also have our featured products that we would like to move, that we either have excess of or are promoting. We also have our mission statement as well as our storefront sign. There are some reviews, and then it goes down to the bottom with what currencies we accept. Now the question begs, how is all of this managed? Well, in Shopify, there are 3 types of accounts. There are your customer accounts, there are your employee accounts, or what I like to call the assistant manager accounts, and then there's your system administrator account. So we'll start with the assistant manager account. So what you're seeing displayed right here, right now, is the managing screen for the WFW employee. They can check orders right here, along with viewing products, customers, finances, and discount items. This account, again, is for assistant managers and above, rather than every single employee, or anybody in the store, or anybody in the warehouse. I just want to clarify that point going forward. So again, we're at the managing screen, and this is the home page. And if you navigate the tabs in order, you'll see that the manager can place orders, view drafts, and also take a look at any abandoned checkouts. Moving on to products, we first land on the All Products sub-tab of products. Here a manager can add, remove, alter anything that can be purchased by the customer. You can also modify how much products you have much easier in this, in the inventory tab rather than this one. So you could change the stock variant here, or how much, not variant, the stock number in here. You can modify within this product window, but it is easier in inventory. So that brings us to inventory, if it wants to load. So inventory here, we easily change the quantity of how much that we have, and we save, and that's how many are available. So it's much easier to do that in here than in all products. So it allows a manager to quickly, okay, we just got a shipment of 1 extra knife. Go ahead and put that up on the site. I'm going to go ahead and switch this back to 0, or attempt to rather, to make sure that nobody's able to buy the product. So going to transfers. Transfers allow us to communicate, or rather track, incoming inventory from either different stores at the warehouse to the store, a vendor to us, a vendor to the warehouse. So this just allows us to make transfers so that we can keep track of everything coming in and out. Collections. So the homepage collection, that feature collection that we saw earlier, this just allows you to manage more of them. Should you want to do that, add several more. Gift cards, fairly self-explanatory. So that brings us to customers. So customers here, that Johnny Doe that we logged into earlier is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you, open that up. This allows us to see, okay, Johnny Doe has been a customer of us for 19 days. He hasn't purchased anything. Should he have purchased something, it would be in here. We also see his address, his name, his email address, along with if he's subscribed to our email marketing. So if we wanted to make a newsletter, we could do that. Finances is pretty straightforward. I know that it's been having some problems loading lately, so all it is just shows the billing of everything, money coming in, money coming out, profits. It just keeps track of that stuff for us. And then finally, there's discount codes. And that's, again, just as self-explanatory. You know, we could have WFW 10 to save 10% off on checkout, one of those kind of things. But the one thing I want you guys to see as I'm presenting this is you'll see a few of these are blocked out. And that's because the system administration doesn't want the Wild Frontier warehouse worker, and again, I might be confusing you, the assistant manager, to be dealing with all the analytic stuff, because we're dealing with multiple different kinds of analytic processes here with Zapier and AWS and Shopify. The marketing is done by a completely different account. But the big one, the reason why those two are kind of related, is because we don't want anybody touching the online store, and unfortunately there's kind of parts that are intermingled with each other. But the modification of the online store is something that we want to be secure about, which brings us to that admin account. So let me go ahead and click down here, grab that admin account and pull it up. So here is the Wild Frontier Warehouse admin account. As you see here, all of these things are filled in. The analytics is filled in. The marketing is filled in. But most importantly with this whole profile is the online store. So as it loads, we're going to go ahead and click Customize. So from here, this is how the site is customized. We can go down here, change any of this information. But the big one here that I kind of want to show, rather show off, is there's actually a view between your desktop, which is the view that you'll probably see this on, or that you're testing this on, or even if you want to use your mobile phone. It then modifies the site. And granted, you have to tweak it a little bit or else it'll come out a little wonky like here. But this is how it looks on a mobile platform, which we discussed, and this is how it looks like on a desktop platform. So, with that being said, we exit that screen, and this, in essence, is the entirety of the Shopify portion. I want to thank you for listening to this portion of it. I will be more than happy to answer any questions at the end here of our presentation on the presentation day. And I want to turn it over to my esteemed colleague, Mike, who is going to discuss the layout of the AWS, or the back-end engineering of this project. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Michael Detrude. I am the lead architect for Team 3, and today I'll be walking you through some of our back-end build for this project. So for starters, we're looking at our AWS management console, and then to your left right here is going to be our topology layout. So let's go ahead and let's dive right into it. Start with our EC2 instances. Coming into our EC2 instances, we have our web application host right here on an EC2 client. This one's going to be our main host, and then as well as our backup host right here on a separate availability zone. As you see here, we have our backup on 1A, and then our primary host on 1B west. These other EC2 instances are going to be fictitious users' computers, if you will, or their own virtualized environments. So let's move on. I'm going to show you guys some of our IAM rules. All right, so IAM is going to be the roles that assign each individual user their permissions and approved activities, if you will, on the network. So let's go ahead and let's dive into user groups. For the specifications of this project, I divided the roles into 3 specific groups. We have our DevOps users, which is going to be your basic user groups, network engineers, and then your RDS engineers. Network engineers is pretty much self-explanatory. They're going to be engineers that are making changes on the network. And then your RDS engineers are going to be your database engineers. Let's move on to users. These are all fictitious users, by the way, like I said. For example, we have our DevOps users right here. We have a sample network engineer role here as well as our RDS engineer right here. And like I said, so our RDS engineers are going to be responsible for this part of the hierarchy right here, working on these databases. And then our DevOps engineers are mostly going to be focusing on these EC2 instances, as well as using some of those offshore appliances like Jenkins and code deliverables. So moving on, we have our roles. For right now, for this project, we just left our AWS roles pretty self-explanatory. Besides project school admin, that's actually my specific role. That's going to be so I can make these changes on the environment. Keep going on. Policies kind of stayed the same. No really special identifiers. So let's go on to, let's see here. Let's talk about our VPC. So our VPC is going to be our virtual protected cloud. So we'll click this real quick. So our VPC right now, WFW VPC, this is our VPC ID name. We also have our IPv4 address right here as well. There's really not much about that. VPCs are basically the same thing as, it's basically just like a virtualized, LAN or WAN, if you will. Subnets. Moving on. We have our 2 subnets that are available. One's going to be our primary subnet, and one's going to be our secondary subnet. It's usually set for redundancy reasons. Let's go on. So let's look at our. Let's see. I don't really need to look at. Let's look at our firewall. So right now we have one firewall. It's going to be our WFW virtual firewall. It's going to sit pretty much right here in front of that VPN gateway. The way this works is it prevents unwanted traffic, obviously, and then through the use of a policy and then ACL list allows traffic in and out. So let's go ahead and click this real quick. Here we go. Cool. So we do have a rule in place right now. I just haven't associated yet. This is our policy right now. So our policy is basically going to act as like kind of like a pass, like I was explaining to you, either like a stop or pass for different connecting IP addresses. So let's move on. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and let's check out our S3. So our S3 is going to be basically what we use for our backup. It stores all of our company data as well as our customer data. So if ever these 2 databases were either became corrupted or for whatever reason needed to be wiped, we would have our backup data right here stored in S3. And this also stores other information too, such as data that's stored on our EC2 instances, as well as those instances that I showed you that our fictitious users would quote unquote be using while they're accessing the network. All right, so let's see here. Let's go to RDS. Waiting on that guy to load. All right, so let's take a look at our DBs. So these are going to be these 2 DBs right here, availability zone A and availability zone B. So this is going to be our primary database right here, customer data 11, and then this is going to be our failover. So like I was saying previously, our SQL database is going to store customer purchase information from our Shopify website. That EC2 instance is going to process that information, push it out to our SQL database, which is going to be stored on A. And then a copy of it will also be stored on B. And then auto scaling will prevent those databases from an overflow of ingestion. So let's say, for instance, we suffered from a DDoS attack or something to that standard, where we're having a lot of traffic that's starting to back things up. Well, being able to have an availability zone A and availability zone B allows us to kind of mitigate some of that and allows us to kind of redirect that traffic as well as put a stop prevention in place. So moving on, let's take a look at our... I think that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate your feedback.
In this slide, we're going to talk about the ethical considerations. So first one is the data security. We made sure that the data are secured from unauthorized access or theft. Confidentiality, our team ensured that the information are not accessed by anyone but the program coordinators, and to ensure that the customer's information are excluded from published documents or from any reports. Data integrity, ensuring that the data would not be compromised. System auditing, this would assist to make sure that the company's data are confidentially stored and the data are always available only for authorized access. Credit card information, ensuring that all the customer credit card information are secured from unauthorized access. The personal identifiable information, all things that might point to the identity of customers should always be protected, as these are considered as private data. And the account privilege, this would be closely monitored on who has access in different accounts and to what they have access to. So ITM's Capsule program learning outcomes. So how did our project meet these project or program learning outcomes? So the first one is by utilizing techniques and application, our web page and database will ensure customers' privacy and confidentiality by using the PCI DSS compliant RSA token and the IAM. Second one is our project has met the customer's needs by providing them with a front-end web space and a back-end that is completely virtualized on the cloud. Our team was able to design, manage, and administer secured network environment by using security techniques, such as VPN gateway, firewall, and security groups. Using relational cloud database for various reasons. Allow primary and secondary failover in case one database instance goes out. Classic load balancer zone A and zone B were able to see the data from customers. Utilizing security techniques, our project were able to enhance business processes, firewall, VPN gateway, subnet groups, Iam Rules, security groups, RSA tokens, VPC CloudWatch, and the PCI DSS compliant. Our team did not encounter any ethical challenges as we went through this project. Mistakes by each member, if any, were recognized and acted upon professionally. Work schedule. Assign each member tasks to complete on their own free time. Meetings were scheduled each week for planning. Budget. The cost of the project were handled by 2 members. Thank you everyone. That would be the end of our presentation. And now we are ready for some questions. So what questions are driving you wild? Thank you everyone for listening to our group.